Netflix earnings are out and they are mixed. You can see how we tried to break right above this 332 level twice and we're just unable to do it. After hours, you can see that we're pushing, but it's been a pretty wild ride after hours. And this is being filmed before the conference call. We will be going through the earnings. We'll be talking about Reed Hastings, who has come out and said that he's going to retire or step down rather, and what that means for the company. And I have about 4 other ideas, plus the indexes that we should go through. Subscribe to the channel, click all notifications. What we go over here is extremely timely. Let's get into it. Now, Netflix, let's just dig right into the headline. 12 cents might not compare to the 44 cents. Sales were 785 versus 784. This is not great. It's okay. And maybe that's exactly the thing that we needed, was just an okay quarter and for the stock to hold. And that's what we got. Global streaming paid membership is up 4%. Sales of first quarter, 282 to 297. I mean, you can drive a truck through that. So in other words, they're basically giving you a 10%, let's call it 8% range on earnings. And then they're basically saying that, oh, by the way, revenue, it might be a little higher. So that's something that we could look forward to. But so you're telling me revenue is going to be higher, but I have this spread that I'm driving a truck through. Global streaming paid are up. Now that's good, considering that we've been seeing some of a decline there, not only in the amount that they've been adding, but also we had some subtractions there for a period of time. And they're talking about resuming this buyback program. We'll see how that goes. There's been very few details. Maybe we'll get more of that on the conference call, but this is really important. Netflix expects to roll out paid sharing more broadly. So this would be another revenue stream. Now, if we consolidate all this, we can see the key level. Now, if we can make this level a support, maybe that's something that we can go off of. The issue that I see with it is I'm just not very sure that we're going to be able to do that just yet. I'm really interested in the conference call, why he's stepping down, and then exactly when they say the new paid, how are they going to do that? And how is that going to affect earnings? I think there's a lot of parts there. I'm also really interested in what are they going to do in regards to the people that are sharing? Are they going to just knock them off? Because you're going to annoy a lot of people that are getting their passwords from other people. Maybe they just don't care, but it could lead to some subtractions. And maybe they don't care because they need to fix this issue. So if we focus on this area, we can see opens up, gaps down, gives us a little bit of flim flam. Looks like we might gap fill and we get that push. Instead, we just come right down today. Spending a lot of time on Netflix tonight because these levels are going to be pivotal for tomorrow. So make sure you watch them because these are all going to be minor or major support levels if and when we get there. And the more you know and the more you're planned for tomorrow, the easier it will be to take advantage of this. So you can see this range right in here, right? Now, what we saw this morning, we had a bunch of people that actually shorted this in the Alpha Tracers community. And then what we did, we just looked for signs. You have a wick down here, tries to rally, can't. Wick down here. Wicks are what? Price rejection. I like using a 9 EMA just to give me a read during the day trades. Gives me a good idea where we're sitting. Pops over, comes back, flips right here. 2 green closes above. Boom, that's it. Your bottom's in. So we talked about it in the room and just said, hey, the short-term bottom's in if you're short. Rallied back up, but look where we went. And again, you're going to want to remember these levels or just mark them down and screenshot this. 324.59. It's going to be a critical level. As the day wears on, right here to this 324.59, we run up into it. And what do? We reject. When we reject here, you can see the reversal bar, how this bar completely encapsulates the previous bar, giving us a bearish engulfing. I will put that candlestick video at the end. You have the lower low. There's your entry. This is your stop if you were to short or have puts. At the same time, that executed right into one of these moving averages that I use on a 15-minute chart. We ran right into it, rejected, and we rejected right at the cross. That's pretty much all I need to see. You can see the sloping of these moving averages and how they're starting to turn down. And as purple gets through this, it's a system. I may do a whole video on it. But as purple gets above, this actually gets more and more bearish. Obviously, any move can trigger that, but shorted it and then just covered it, and the majority of it into the end of the day. Held a small short and then just married a call to it overnight. And I'll just be playing around with it after hours. The two most important levels you need for tomorrow, 333, 324.26. Watch both those levels. Now we're seeing the deterioration of the market and we'll talk about what that means, but I want to give you another short idea. This was one I did today and I don't think it's over. What you'd want to see is maybe if you can get a pop up back over this 800 and then I will probably add to it. But we're in the gap, and to the downside, we're seeing these stodgy companies, we're seeing profit taking, and we're seeing it across the board, and we're going to address it. But look at this level right here. And if we break the 780, we can get to 750 fairly quickly. You have only 3 little bars here, and you have nothing but air going all the way back to 2022. There's nothing here. So if this cracks, we could see 750. I am currently short stock and have puts. Don't rule this out because it's expensive. Just try to find a way in, and perhaps that's through puts. Amazon is another one we shorted in the community today, and I'm going to walk through this and actually give you a long trade that you can do with this. But you can see how you're railing back up, and now you're starting to round back down. All we needed technically was to take out this lower low, and then you had follow through. That's exactly what happened. We're seeing this particular pattern a lot. You rally up, you gap fill, right? So you get back to the closing price, then you start to roll. You can see the break right here. Once you take out the low of the previous flag, which is right here, you usually get some kind of signal. You get that retest. You always want to make sure you get below the open, right? If you can get below that opening price, it means all those people have just decided to change their mind usually. And that's exactly what happened. And then guess what happens to support levels? They become what? Resistance. Dojis tell the story, broke, and then that was it. So this turned into a really nice short. I'm still short this, and I just kind of want to walk through why I'm still short this. Dojis control the trade. If you think about it that way, then the reason is because they're indecision bars. You have a battle going on. If we think of wicks as price rejection, as this one is, you can see exactly what happened in there. You can see you had a little battle. We were unable to ever close above that and then negate the doji, which gave us a signal that was down. The signal was never negated, even though we kept bouncing around. That signal is not negated until you close over it. Guess what we never did? Now, into this, we looked like obviously that was a better position to get off, but it is what it is. I need some kind of confirmation to put on size. I have it. And what we're seeing is that the incessant pattern just completing itself over and over again, where we're rolling and rolling and rolling. That's exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for replicatable patterns. I don't know if I'm going to get this, but I do think that we could see this come down back to the $80 level. For signs of this, just watch XLY. Amazon is 16% of XLY. 133.59. If you break 133.59, it is on like Donkey Kong. AMZD, this is the Amazon bear shares. See how you filling right in here? And this is kind of thin. A lot of people really don't trade this. They just will short the stock or buy puts. But for those that have IRA accounts or just very simply don't like shorting, which, is a majority of people don't like it. And I get it. It's just not natural. But this provides a way to get in there on the bear side. Now, if we get back to that 80, this really looks like your level and where you're getting to. That's not a bad return. You're looking about 22%. So I would not rule this out. We're going to talk about a couple of the leaders and then one small one, and I want to go through the indexes as well. So make sure you stay to the end because there's going to be a lot of nuggets in this. If you take a look at NVIDIA and how you're running right into this level, and now you're running right into it again, I just want to be really clear. This is not debatable whether or not it rejected. It rejected. It's not up for debate. What's up for debate is how steep the drop will be. But right now we have a bearish pattern, and that is a rejection. If we get back over this, then that rejection is negated. Whether we come to 150, 125, 140, no matter where we wind up, the negation and the move of the negation is not known. But whether or not it's here or here is the difference on whether or not this rejected. That's a clear rejection. So understanding these terms, because I'm seeing people saying, well, we don't know if it rejected yet. We know it rejected. We know the moment it gapped lower low. That was it. And we know it rejected right in here. So, but what we don't know is we don't know the magnitude of what it's going to drop. So when we understand these little nuances, we can make more informed decisions, right? I wouldn't short this and say to myself, oh, we're definitely going to go back to here. But I could short this and say, hey, it looks to me like we rejected this area, and getting back above the top of this would mean that it probably has negated that rejection. So then you could set a trade up, right? Just little distinctions. Now, for a while we were hanging in there. We bounced right off. The yellow is the 5-day moving average. You bounced right off that 5, and then you were just riding that 5. And then at the end of the day, I got a really clear indication as soon as we broke right here. And then that was it in the last half hour, and we just wound up selling down. And the SOX is rolling, and we're going to go through some of the indexes here, but I want to go through one other name, a smaller name that's not really my kind of play, but I get asked a lot about these smaller names, and this one makes a lot of sense to me, candidly. So what you're seeing with the SOX, again, look at how we're rolling on these moving averages, right? It's a 15-minute chart, and we're rallying right up. Support becomes what? Resistance. Okay. Moving averages, just the same as everything else. We run right into that level and we reject. What? I refer to it as Matumboed. And now what do? You start rolling back down. We have to see if we're going to hold here or not. There is nothing technical about that tells me we're going to hold there. That we tried to get through and we rejected. The longer this stays here and the longer that these start rolling down, the more bearish this chart gets. And that's something that we really have to focus on. And I just really want to get that out there, okay? If you look at this and you start understanding that as you roll and then you start rallying up, that's where you short. It's not where you go long. Where you go long is when you're up and you're making these higher highs and then you're pulling back and buying. So be really careful here with semiconductors. We had a really nice run on them. And it looks to me, I'm going to clean this up. It looks to me like it's come to an end. You know, I put in here Tuesday in the newsletter. Make sure you get the newsletter, a link in description to get it. Just click on the link and you'll be signed up. Let's get rid of VWAP as well. But I put in there that, you know, we didn't really have anything. We had 4 closes above the 200-day. Now look at where we are. So my hopes and dreams were smashed. And now I have to deal with this and figure out what's going to happen there. You know, I was hoping to get something, a push, maybe a higher high, something to build off of, maybe a wedge. I didn't get any of that. I got this. So follow through tomorrow and a lower low on the SOX below the 200. And this will accelerate to the downside. No fund manager is going to want to go in the hole after last year. After they were down, 80% of them underperformed the S&P. They are up, the majority of them are up already in January because of the little rally that we had. They are going to lock that in. And that means that you're going to see a lot of hot potato. Now, to speak of hot potato, we're going to get into like the Dow and what's going on there. Why is the Dow underperforming? Why is the Dow doing worse yesterday and having follow through today after doing so well? Because these are the names everybody's up in and people aren't playing games right now. So we might see this actually get weaker. They're just very simply locking in anything they can, sitting on the sidelines and going from there. We're going to go through the S&P and NASDAQ in 1 second here. Now, this is a name that I really can't ignore. It was brought up by a lady that is in our trading community, that is in Alpha Chasers, Emily, and she brought this up this morning. Now, when she brought it up, it was obviously a lot lower. I don't play these names. It doesn't mean that you shouldn't play these names. Everybody trades differently, but she did excellent with this, and you can just see it broke out, and then it just kept going. Why am I bringing it up now? After hours, this is moving again. Look at this volume. Doesn't matter what the news is. I think it's a reverse split, you know. If they're going to do something that's going to change the world, I mean, I hate to be so cynical, but it is what it is. But the point that I'm getting at is if you can get above this 230, which you are above right now at this very moment as the time of recording this, you're going to want to pay attention to this. Now, I don't know if they're going to come out and do a secondary or what their new move is going to be, but you really don't have anything until you get up in this level. Now, if I show you volume by price, you will see the majority of volume is right in here, right in this range. As soon as you get above here, it dissipates and then it just goes away. That means this is going to accelerate above 230. Just keep that in mind. This is going to accelerate above 230. Now, as we get into our S&P levels, for those that trade futures, those that trade options, if you could do me a favor and comment. I did 2 things tonight that I was getting comments about. Number 1 was smaller cap plays. We did that with GNS. The other comment I got was, can you go a little more in depth with individual names and stop covering things so broadly? And that's what we did today with Netflix so that you could really understand how I traded Netflix today, what my position is in it right now, what I think happens tomorrow. So just keep that in mind. I do read every comment. I do reply to every comment. It's a one-man shop, so just bear with me. Now, we can all see this 200-day moving average. That's great. Our target today on the short side for the SPY was 386.27. I did not get there. I formed a doji. Dojis are what? Dojis are signs of uncertainty. So we don't have anything defined. So when you come in tomorrow, this is what you have. You're going to have to watch this 391.08. And yes, you might want to watch this level, this 387.26. But we really want to watch this 386.27. And then you really are going to want to pay attention to this major level in case it gets tested. You're going to want to pay attention to right in here, which is going to be that 384.30 level. Okay. And the reason for that is if you start breaking this trend line after forming this V bottom, we can all see that V, you're going to have a problem. Okay? We should not be breaking this. And if we do, that's when we're going to start seeing things possibly accelerate to the downside. If you are interested in joining the Alpha Traders community, it is on waitlist. It is up here. We will be going out there and sending out invitations for those that are on the waitlist. Then the room will be closed for an undisclosed period of time, and then we open it back up after everyone is acclimated to it. That's it, everybody. Have a great evening. I hope you had a great trading day. Stay safe out there. Remember, don't be retail.